Good evening, we are from Ukraine. You are watching the Ukraine on Fire project. My name is Raul. While Russia is conducting a special operation in Ukraine, and Ukraine is conducting special utilization, the Russian authorities in Mother Russia itself began to gut the bank cells of their citizens and transfer their property for special storage. The karmic circle is closed. Army marauder runs home, country marauder robs while no one is home. And this video perfectly illustrates how the journey of the Russian warship should end. This video is wonderful. In the near future, he will take out decorative fireplaces from the market, because everyone will put such screensaver on TVs and computers, and enjoy this spectacle with tantric music. I am sure that the ship falling on the Kremlin is just a teaser for what could happen on the eve of the traditional Russian victory frenzy on the 9th of May. According to NASA on May 6, there is a very high probability that an asteroid the size of an Egyptian pyramid will collide with the Earth. And if you collect all the hatred of Ukrainians and multiply by the wish list of Instagram women who, because of Putin, they lost their earnings, it will become clear, the pyramid of retribution will direct its tip either to the Urals or to Moscow, depending on where Vladimir Putin is located. And no braces, Gundyeev's shields of faith and Rogoz's in Space Marines in Bast shoes will save this Sodom and Gomorrah at the minimum wage. And in order not to get up twice, against the background of external enemies, Ukraine should not forget about internal enemies and does not forget. The Verkhovna Rada received a bill on a complete ban on the activities of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate on the territory of Ukraine. All property, all shrines, all temples must be nationalized within 48 hours. All these corrupt and depraved Pasha Patriarch Mercedes and KGB generals must be expelled from Ukrainian soil, and many receive long prison terms for anti-Ukrainian propaganda and work for the intelligence services of the Russian Federation. I am sure that at least 80% of the Holy Fathers of the Moscow Patriarchate are criminals, informers, agents of influence and career officers of the Russian Federation. They brought war into our home. They must be held accountable. And at this time in Russia, a planned military conscription begins in the thinned, spent time and in the reddened ranks of the Russian army. The draft campaign will begin on the 1st of April. No matter how funny it is, it's not funny anymore and will end on the 15th of July. Citizens between the ages of 18 and 27 who are not in the reserve are subject to conscription. And the number of these soldiers is 134,500 souls. Guys from the Russian Federation, look now at the propagandist Solovyov. He is a dollar millionaire, owner of 3 villas in Italy on the shores of Lake Como. I have been there many times. Solovyov has a great taste in real estate. But minting words and peddling intonation, he sends you to certain death right now with an unwavering voice.
That any negotiations with the Nazis, while your boot is not on their throat, is perceived as a force. And do not shake hands with this bastard. And there is no need to exchange different wordings with them on how to conduct business. In general, you do not need to meet or talk with them. So I think, this is my personal point of view. Therefore, there is no need to mislead and try to demoralize our people and our servicemen with such insane messages.
Это моя личная точка зрения. Поэтому не надо вводить в заблуждение и пытаться деморализовать столь безумными сообщениями, как вчера, наш народ и наших военнослужащих.
The task has been set and it must be solved in full. The task is set for our country only by the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, and if you please listen only to him.
First, there will be an appeal, and immediately after 2 weeks, a planned burial in Ukraine. I didn't make a reservation.
What settlement does Zelensky remember all the time? And we are silent. Where is the 156th time the Russian army is being smashed? Chernobyevka, and what's in there?
This city was captured 10 times by the Russians, and 10 times it was recaptured by the Ukrainians. And now they are getting ready to fight back for the 11th time.
Where is Chernobyevka located?
Your fool Soloviev doesn't even know where Chernobyevka is. And this is a sacred place for every Russian soldier. Just Google it. This will help you break your arm or leg even without the use of pain medication. And remember, nothing is more valued during a war than flat feet. And now the favorite section of our viewers is the radio interception of the SBU.
While the rumors are such that we are retreating, like damn, we may even return home soon. Our brigade really screwed up.
Lossless. Everything is fine.
There are losses, many wounded.
I was more worried about the rumors.
Our army is stupid, just morons. Fuck knows, well, downs. Nobody needs us here. It is not at all clear why we are here. We cannot complete the mission against such an adversary. What you said is true. They have modern technology.
Мы тут не можем выполнять задачи, против такого противника, как против нас. То, что ты тогда говорила, что типа в Украине типа техника, типа там у украинских войск там туда-сюда, там по телеку то, что передают. Действительно так и есть. У них реально техника у них есть.
Are you in any danger right now?
No. Here danger threatens every second. You sit and think when a rocket will fly at you.
Do you live in cars?
When I feel that the pancake around is somehow tense, I go into the forest, dig a trench and sleep there. Somewhere else, seriously, it's tough here.
Once again, the level of frost in a female orc is striking. So are you all right? Yes, I'm at war, in a foreign country. What can happen to me? I'm digging a trench for myself in the forest, where sausages from modern NATO weapons. In principle, there is no reason to worry. And for dessert, you will now receive FSB officer Gherkin, whose father-in-law recently went to the glass-washing country in the Donbass.
Our grouping, operating on the right bank of the Dnieper, in the area of the city of Gostomel, Bucha, Irpen, stuck in a city building. Stuck in a wooded and swampy area. And after the spring begins, they will beat because of every bush. Because the number of troops, despite the fact that a lot of equipment was driven into these cities, the number of these troops is not enough to take by storm a city of 3 million people. These forces are not enough not only to capture the city, but also to maintain positions in Kyiv, in conditions when the Ukrainian army will actively use sabotage groups and partisan methods of struggle. Therefore, most likely, our troops one way or another will have to shorten the front line near Kiev, pull back units to form some other front line. If our troops come out directly from Kyiv, it will be just a disgrace and defeat. But the troops will have to cut the front line, and leave areas that cannot be defended in conditions without having an offensive initiative. As for Chernihiv, if you look at the maps that are published and objective maps that show that there is no controlled territory there. From Chernihiv to Sums, which are painted in red by some bloggers. This is not true. There are narrow, elongated appendixes along roads and road junctions leading to Kiev. Between these appendixes the territory is not controlled. Neither the city of Sumy nor Chernihiv is actually blocked by Russian troops. They have communications, not directly with Kiev, but with the surrounding areas. And there are formed their own resources and reserves.
Don't be sad, Igor. Soon, people from the Special Operations Forces will knock on your door. Or maybe from the FSB, and then how lucky. Maybe you will end up in court, or maybe immediately to the father-in-law. When I said 3 paragraphs above about the red-haired soldiers of the Russian Federation, this is not a reservation. As it turned out, most of the conscripts of the Russian Federation are not only very young. The vast majority have only secondary education. I would say very average, even by the standards of Saratov or Vorkuta. Only this can explain that these unfortunate soldiers, without any protection, moved through the famous radioactive red forest near the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. And they even dug trenches there and tried to create a line of defense. Many of them are already arriving at the radiation centers of Belarus. And the number of exposed people is growing. I can't even imagine what kind of bastards or stupids you have to be in the highest officer corps to send your fools to the most contaminated place in the Chernobyl zone. Yes, they will definitely bring home a piece of light from Ukraine. And women, of course, still give birth. But if from these conscripts, then a new generation of Russians can actually get additional chromosomes. And on this life-affirming note, we turn to international news. Sad horse, Sergei Lavrov announced the accreditation of the first diplomat from the Taliban government. The representative of Afghanistan arrived in Moscow last month. These are the same Taliban who forbid turning on music in cars, carrying women in a car with a hijab, and forbidding girls from attending schools. In principle, they have experience that is now useful to the Russian Federation. But whether the Russians need this experience, let them decide for themselves. The Taliban itself in Russia is still listed as a terrorist organization, if I'm not confusing anything.
Because, after all, the negotiation process, we, unlike some of our partners, still try to maintain a culture of diplomatic negotiations.
Another ally of the Russian Federation is the unrecognized Republic of South Ossetia. She decided to hold a referendum and suck on the subsidized boobs of Mother Russia. At the same time, at least 300 Ossetian soldiers left their positions in the Donbass and decided that Vladimir Putin and his entire family could continue the war with Ukraine instead. And in a swift Ossetian foray home, the former self-proclaimed president of South Ossetia, Edit Kokoity, declared, "I still don't invent anything, I still give you links or show you videos. I am completely on the side of Ossetia, money in the morning, soldiers in the evening. And there can be no question of any credit holidays." You watch the Ukraine on Fire project. Russia will lose. Glory to Ukraine.
Now I will show you where the attack on Belarus was prepared from.